Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. It's a new month. We've got a new Blindbox Comics in my hands. Now, Blindbox, one of the numerous geeky services out there, this one delivers a bunch of comics to your doorstep. Now, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get, but it's usually something really, really cool. The other stuff that's kind of cool is Blindbox does a little bit different than some of the other ones. There's kind of two parts to it. There's the comics, which are usually first issues that come out in the past month, and then there's the variant. Now, the variant's one of the really awesome things about it, because there's variants of the variants, and, you know, who knows what you're going to get. So let's go through and talk about what is in this month's comic. Alright, we've got, open it up, we're going to open up the main package first. They give a nice little handy sheet as to what's in there, so sorry if I'm a little slightly distracted. Alrighty. We'll start off with the first one. We got Aether, Matt Kint. This is Image Comics series. What was this? No, it's Dark Horse series. I was about to say, I don't know why they put Image. This was Dark Horse. I remember this being Dark Horse. Actually, this series was so good, I wound up interviewing Matt Kint about the series. It's really, really solid. It's basically, there's a kind of a magical world in the main world, and there's this one guy that kind of bounces back and forth, and he's like an archaeologist about it, and he gets to the magical world, and someone gets murdered, and it has to do with like a magic bullet, and really kind of trippy, really cool. I mean, it's Matt Kint, who does amazing writing. He's done Department H, Mind Management, a bunch of stuff from Marvel. Those superhero stuff I'm not quite as keen on. When he gets to his indie stuff, though, like this, absolutely fantastic and amazing. The art's by David Rubin. David Rubin's done some fantastic work in the past, and here he captures kind of that magical world perfectly. Really, really good. If you can't tell by the way I'm talking about it. Really, really good. What's awesome is, for a lot of this, there's some like really new stuff I haven't read. Alright, so we've got Solar Flare #1 from Jamestown Comics. This is a 2016 convention exclusive. Now, what's funny is, the Solar Flare, I'm guessing the kind of like the ash can that's in the back of this one, I remember picking up from some convention, but the comic itself is totally new to me. So, in the wake of world's worst recorded solar flare disaster, which leaves everyone with little to no electronics, similar to an EMP, a group of survivors attempt to make the journey from Florida to Tennessee to deliver valuable information to the government that will save millions of lives in a world where modern transportation is no longer an option and obeying law is now a bit less mandatory. So, according to Blindbox Comics, they said it's easily one of the most obscure selections to date, which, holy shit, it is. This book's not perfect, but the raw potential of both creators and stories is undeniable. Having read the first six issues, they can also say it only gets better from there. Couldn't tell you much about it. I remember this book that's on the back, but the comic itself, not so much. What's also kind of cool is this is an autographed copy. So this is Solar Flare #1 convention exclusive, signed by writer James Hake and cover artist Greg Krivek, and they get a nice certificate of authenticity in the back. So that's like a nice added bonus to a lot of the Blindbox comics that I dig. Alright, next up we've got Red Dog from 451. Now this is a publisher not too many people probably have heard of. 451 does some really interesting things, especially when it comes to multimedia, when it comes to their comics. The story is, it follows a little boy and his dog, which is kind of like a robot, on a planet that's full of miners. There's a mining colony light years away from Earth, and then basically the bad guys show up at the end. Now, I've read this one months ago. 451 reached out and asked if I want to do an early review of it. Absolutely did. It's solid. It's fantastic art. The writing's really good, and I want to say it was like one of the writers of one of the Fast and Furious movies, or director of one of the Fast and Furious movies is behind it. It's Rob Cohen. I don't remember the specific off of that, but for some reason that jumps out in my mind. It's really, really good comic. If you get this, you'll enjoy it. I guarantee you on that one. I liked it. It's the type of series that I dig, so yay on that one. Alright, up next we've got Vampire Hunter D from Stranger Comics. So this is Vampire Hunter D #1 Message from Mars. This is one I haven't read. I have it sitting on my iPad, though, to read. Of course, Vampire Hunter D, classic manga, classic anime, redone by Stranger Comics. Drawn to Mars by an ancient message from Cecile, a girl who could see the future, D arrives to find a colony that is little more than a blood farm. With left hand by his side, D sets out to cleanse Mars of the vampire scourge. It's one of the most popular anime properties. It's a highly anticipated debut in Comics 4. It's so good that this is actually sold out, so the fact that you're able to get it, I want to say it's Brandon Easton is the writer of it. The fact you're able to get this sold-out comic is a bonus. That's one of the great things about Blindbox Comics, is that you often get obscure, hard-to-get comics or just straight-up sold-out comics that you're not going to find on your store shelf anyway. So that one is awesome to see in here. It's one I don't even have a print copy for. So far, all these, while I might have some digital of a couple of them, print I don't. This one I absolutely love. Motor Girl, #1 from Abstract Studios. It is Terry Moore, person behind Strangers in Paradise and Rachel Rising. Basically, Samantha works in a junkyard. She may or may not be seeing aliens. She's got her friend that's a gorilla that kind of mouths off to her. I love this debut. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a comic that I'm so in love with. I can't even describe how much I dig it. Just beyond fantastic. Really, really great protagonist. Solid story. It's basically Terry Moore at Terry Moore's awesomeness. Best way of putting it. Highly recommend it. This is one I've been pushing for. I'm sure it wasn't on your store shelves. If it was, you probably skipped over it. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's an awesome item to include. Next up, we've got the Blind variant. Now, as I said, there's variants of the variants. So this month there is Martin Morazzi's fantastic cover for Fish Eye #1 from Scout Comics. So the variant is latest entry in the embossed series. So there's 3 different covers you can receive: a full color, which is 200, black and white, which is 100, and a embossed artist series edition of 20. So it looks like I've got the full color version of this. So they did say though that the embossed era artist series is going to be slightly delayed due to the holidays. So there's golden tickets if you get that. So you can check this out. With Fish Eye #1. Now this is one from Scout Comics. I actually have it to read, a print copy of it, but I haven't read it quite yet. But Scout Comics is doing some really solid comics. Another small indie publisher that probably aren't on your radar. So overall, I mean, this has been the box of really obscure indie comics, which is pretty freaking awesome. When Blindbox launched, I said that that was one of the fantastic ways to go with the box, and something I wanted to see. You know, when your most probably produced or known comic is from Dark Horse, that's saying something. So I mean, this is the indie of indie boxes, which is pretty freaking awesome. Some great choices here. There's not a comic in here that either I haven't gotten good buzz about or haven't read myself and can tell you straight up that it's a great read. Absolutely fantastic. #1 issues. A lot of the stuff sold out. A lot of stuff's gonna be really hard to find. So, yeah. What else? What else can you like about it? And say about it, it's solid. You get some cool covers. In this case, autograph comics. It's great. It's a fantastic box. You know, I think again, Blindbox Comics to me is one that if you are a comic fan, you really should be getting it. You're guaranteed to get some good reads. They seem to have fantastic choice. They're willing to go to obscure and indie comics, which I think is even more awesome. So go check it out. Now, there's a link underneath this video to Blindbox Comics. It's not an affiliate link. We get nothing for it. You know, I'm just a comic fan, so this is one to I subscribe because I think the service is so damn good. So, if you are interested in comics and you're watching this video, you probably are. You should check us out at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. As always, thank you for watching. Keep on reading those comics and keep it geeky.